With a loud sigh, she slumped into her seat and wondered about the sudden change in her future. Maybe a big change would be just what she needed. A fresh start in a new place. A small part of her even dared to hope for someone who would actually care for her. Chapter 2. The train picked up speed and moved swiftly down the tracks. The more distance she put between herself and the city, the more nervous she felt. What had she gotten herself into? Was Mr. Swan really telling the truth? Are there really families looking for children? Her worrying was interrupted by a loud grumbling from her stomach. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her stolen bread. Was it really just this morning that she had swiped it from the bakery vendor? It seemed so long ago. With a sneaky glance, she took a lightning quick bite. She was over halfway through the bread when she realized that she was being watched. Joanna stared maliciously back at the big dark eyes that followed her hand back into her pocket. When the eyes didn't blink, she sighed heavily and motioned the little face over and made room for the girl in the seat next to her. Joanna knew what it was like to be hungry, really hungry, and she couldn't deny this child a few bites. Together they finished up the scrap of food and then silently watched the landscape blur outside the window. After an hour or so, the little girl fell asleep. The motion of the train swayed the child's head back and forth, back and forth. When the train rounded a curve, her whole body leaned left, leaving her head resting on Joanna's shoulder. Joanna watched her sweet face as she slept and jealously thought she would have no trouble finding a family to love her. "Well, it looks like you made a new friend," Mr. Swan said, helping himself to a nearby seat. Joanna scoffed at the word friend. "Friend? I fed her. That's all she wanted." "Well, friends help each other, so it looks like little Ruthie has made a friend anyhow." Joanna looked at the sleeping child and then back out the window. Joanna didn't usually talk to strangers, but for some reason she trusted this man. Before she knew it, questions came tumbling out of her mouth, and he answered all of them. "Who are you? Why are you helping us? Are there really families out there that want us?" "Since we have time, can I tell you a story?" Mr. Swan asked her. "Sure, I guess," Joanna agreed. She tried to sound like she wasn't really interested, but Mr. Swan knew better, and a few of the other children nearby also gathered close for the tale. And that's the end of chapter 2.